Okay, you guys, so let's start with the Knicks, okay? This is more than just basketball, okay? We've got a villain that is Wemby, right? The Spurs that represent the empire, and the New York Knicks that have tried to claw their way into a championship win for over 50 years. Of course, if you're a New Yorker like myself, you've been rooting for them. You love them. You love and support them. You just don't put your money on them. I mean, I'm no gambler, so even when they are winning, I'm not putting my money on anything. But I'm just saying, low key, this is one heck of a team here. And all the adversity and the disrespect that Jalen Brunson had to take on. I mean, this is truly an American story here. They looked at Brunson like he was less than, right? He is the American. That is how I look at the Knicks. They are the Americans. And the Spurs, they were straight the British Empire with Wemby as their lead. This is what this was for me, okay? If you are that average American, you claw, you work hard, you get up every day, you put your feet to the ground, you're hoping for something amazing, and sometimes, almost all the time, not all the time, but most of the time, you fail, and you keep getting back up, and you keep on trying, and that has been the Knicks story. Like, we support the underdog as Americans. We don't even really know why we do that. Why? Because the underdog story is American here. Okay? There are liberals and Democrats and conservatives and Republicans who can look at the Knicks and they can be united in this front here. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're Jewish, Muslim, Christian, black, white, boomer, or Gen Z. It doesn't matter. This team has united people across the spectrum. And that is remarkable, okay? And why is it that we've been able to unite behind this team, okay? This unity has crossed state lines. Like, not even just New Yorkers are supporting the Knicks. Taylor Swift, it would have made more sense for her to support the Spurs, being that she's country. But she's supporting the Knicks. She out there wearing the orange and blue. Why is that, right? What is it about the underdog? What was it about the Knicks? And what is it about Jalen Brunson? And why am I comparing this to the fight against the British? Okay, like, what is it? Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about this championship series that we just watched, that we all witnessed, this history that was in the making. Let's talk about why this was so darn significant, okay? Number one, as that they were fighting with the Spurs in this battle, of course, they won their first games. The Knicks were winning literally every game. I think they won like 15 games. I want to say that. Get in the comment section to let me know if that is correct. But ultimately, they were winning nonstop all through the playoffs into the championship. This is why they ended up with the 2-1, right? That's how that happened. And then they went on to Madison Square Garden. But when you look at those first two games, it was made very clear that Wemby, no respect for the Knicks, no respect for Jalen Brunson, no respect for America. Yet the league is trying to make this Frenchman the face of the NBA, the National Basketball Association. They're trying to make a Frenchman the face of an American league. Like, let that sink in for a little bit, okay? That's what they're trying to do with this young cat, okay, who was so arrogant in his youth and French that it irritates the crap out of me, okay? This bothers me. Like, a lot, okay? Arrogance of youth was on full display in that game, okay? There were flagrant fouls. There were calls not being called against the Spurs. The Spurs kept getting all the free throw shots. They were getting all the advantages. It was made very clear, okay, that the league was trying to protect the Spurs, trying to protect Wemby. Like, they wanted the Spurs to win. Like, this is what you're hearing even after the championship is over. Even while it was happening, this was a question people were asking. Feels like they're cheating for the Spurs. Now, are they doing it specifically for Wemby? Really, no Knicks fan cares if it's for Wemby or for the Spurs. You're cheating for the Spurs, and it is quite obvious. And when they won, okay, when they won that game by 1 point, I might add, that second game, that was game 2, they won by 1 point, okay? It was looking like they were about to lose. It was about to be tied 1-1. And what happens, right? The Spurs F it up. Wemby specifically F's it up, okay, by throwing the ball at dude's back. Like, that was ridiculous, okay? That's what happened there. And ultimately, they win by 1 point, okay? That specifically felt like the battle of, I can't remember the specific battle, but there was during the American Revolution, George Washington was leading an ambush against the enemy, and one of the soldiers was so passed out drunk that he did not get the letter to the people in charge in time that would have prevented Washington and his little platoon from being successful in that ambush. Had that soldier been doing what he was supposed to be doing, Washington never would have been successful.
If I had only read this note, I would not be lying here now.
Had Wemby not effed up that moment, the Spurs would have won. They would have won. Instead, He effed it up. He mucked it up. He choked, call it what you will. And the Knicks won the game. That's what that game was. And this was a big moment. Mind you, Wemby is being protected. That's how bad this was, okay? Wemby was being protected, okay? So we're not just talking about stats here. We are talking about how the Knicks were unable to get to the championships because they did not have a true leader. And it's like I say when I talk about the American Revolution, like they were waiting for a Washington. They were waiting for a leader. And with the Knicks case, they were waiting for Washington. And Jalen Brunson is that for them. He is their Washington. Without him, the Knicks would not be champions today, okay? Without Jalen Brunson, New York would not be having a parade coming soon. If it had not been for Brunson, we wouldn't even be talking about the Knicks right now. Had it not been for the Knicks version of George Washington, Jalen Brunson. This was about grit, talent, respect, okay? That's what this was. That's exactly what you got. You had a veteran ball player that very few people respected, that without his efforts, okay, without his sacrifice, because he did turn down millions of dollars, without his nobility and character, the Knicks would not be where they are today. We fight Wemby, the Spurs, and that second game felt like that ambush with George Washington. Had it not been for one person's screw up, they never would have been successful. In this case with the Spurs and the Knicks, had Wemby not choked, he's the soldier that was passed out drunk in this case, as far as my analogy goes. Stick with me, okay? He's that. Had it not been for him, Washington and the platoon, Jalen Brunson and the Knicks could not have beat them by 1 point. That's what happened with that one. Then you get to game 4. Game 4, because obviously we saw what happened with game 3. The Knicks lost. That was the first game in Madison Square Garden. They lost. It wasn't a great feeling for most of us. And so we waited for game 4. It's like, okay, you know what? Go in there, shut it down, and then kick their butts in game 5. That's what this needs to be. No game 6 is what this needs to be. I want it over, shut them down. Come game 4. Spurs are up 29 points. Okay, you have a near 30-point lead here. Okay, no reason for the Spurs to have lost. Now, you could say it's because they choked. You could say, again, the arrogance of youth. You think because you're young, you think because you have all this, leg workouts that you think you're fast and you have all. Listen, it's your youth. Listen, I'm not even going to be frank. This is a very talented team. Okay, a lot of young players up there. A very talented team here. Okay, very talented. Ultimately, you put too much effort. You put too much hope into your youth, thinking that you were going to beat the Knicks that way. No, that's not how this is going to go. That's not how at all this is going to go, okay? This moment, that game, specifically reminded me of the battle that gave us our national anthem, the very national anthem that Wemby disrespected every single game he was there. Every single game, he disrespected that national anthem, every single time, okay? And this game specifically, game 4, specifically reminds me of the battle that gave us our national anthem.
Instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that.
When they unleashed holy hell, when the British unleashed all their firepower onto the fort, destroying the flag or hoping to destroy the flag. And after every single cannonball fired, that flag was still there, and they could not believe it because of sacrifice, because of determination, because of the strength between these men. That flag was still there because of the strength and the determination and the talent and the sacrifice of Jalen Brunson and the rest of those Knicks team. They managed to come back from a 29-point deficit and win the game. And the Knicks are still here. No. It is not going to be 2-2. It is 3-1. Now, it's not to say we've never seen anybody come back from a 3-1 deficit. Obviously, we saw this with Golden State and Cleveland. Cleveland was able to come back from that deficit and win. Now, in my lifetime, as far as how long I've been watching sports, I've never seen that happen before. The first time I ever saw it was between Cleveland and and Golden State. That was the first time I'd ever seen that happen. So I don't know, maybe it happened beforehand. I'll let the sports fans tell you guys in the comment sections. But ultimately, the chances that the Spurs were going to do this was possible because, again, very talented team. Wemby is a good player. He's a very good player. And there's a lot of youth here, a lot of strength, a lot of energy. So, yeah, they could pull it off. But you see, why can't people understand how the Spurs mucked it up? Why don't you understand it? You want to know why you don't understand it? I'll tell you why you don't understand it. Because you're not just playing players. You're not just playing a game. You're not just up against a team with jerseys on. You are up against an idea. You are up against an ideology, really. You're up against the underdog. You're up against the most truest, purest American tale that you will ever face ever in your career, unless you play the Knicks again, of course. The Knicks are more than just another basketball team. This is an American tale, and that's what you're up against. You're up against grit, talent, hunger in a way that you have never experienced, okay? And they are, again, young players, so you've never experienced this in your career because you've never been in this situation before, especially with a team like the Knicks. We all root for the underdog. Why do we root for the underdog?
Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees.
Because the underdog is freaking American. We were the underdog. That same grit, tenacity, determination, and sacrifice is what built this nation. It's why Brunson led this team to the champions. Okay, into becoming champions. That's what happened here. And Wemby and the Spurs and all the Spurs fans who want to talk trash about the Knicks and all the people that were talking trash about Brunson, you don't understand it. You want to know why you don't understand it? Because you don't understand the story of America. That's the whole thing here. Now, this is an American tale. We're talking one of the greatest sports movies that need to be made. We just watched happen. It goes down, and we win. The Knicks win. And we're not just talking about statistics here. We're talking true adversity and animosity. This is a league that specifically rigged the game against the Knicks. So not only did they win, but they won beating cheaters. They won beating dirty players. They won against people being disrespectful about their captain. They won in spite of the history that says they have no right to win. They won in spite of how ridiculous fans were being in New York and their violent antics. They won in spite of all of the negativity because something was more important. That man sacrificed millions because winning honorably was more important. They respected his judgment enough to give him two of the college players that he played with. Two players that he played with in college, excuse me. That's what happened there. Big deal. Not a little thing. Now, 20 years ago, Disney would have made this movie. Think Remember the Titans, for goodness sakes.
You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans.
Come on. Some of the greatest sports movies that we know, Coach Carter. Seriously? Blue Chips with Nick Nolte? That's not a Disney movie, but ultimately some of the greatest sports movies that you can think of, this is one of them. But why are those stories so great, you guys? Because you're not just watching a tale about football in Remember the Titans. You're seeing how young men are able to put aside their differences because of the love of the game. That something became more important than their pettiness and their hatred towards each other. So much so that winning led to deep friendships that crossed over into an entire community. And that winning brought this community together to look beyond the skin color of the coach and the other players. That's Remember the Titans. When you look at the movie Secretariat, this is horse racing, okay? Secretariat. Mrs. Toohey, what happens with Miss Toohey? What does she do when she ends up with a horse that is unbelievable? Triple Crown threat. There's never going to be a horse like him. Big Red, a.k.a. Secretariat. Never going to be a horse like it. Never going to be a horse like him. Hasn't been since. Just saying, okay? Never since, okay? And ultimately, what was that story about? This was a farm that was in danger, a ranch, that was in danger of, being bought out. That this was a ranch that was losing money, that had very little to offer. And if they could not make Secretariat win, well, this could have been the end of her father's legacy. That's what that would have been. Her brother was very likely to sell this property just so they had money. You're married. You got kids. We can both use the money. Instead, in order to maintain her father's legacy, what did she do? She put that horse into a race, and even through those losses, she still believed she got the right people around her, around the horse. And again, Secretariat goes on and becomes a Triple Crown threat, and no horse has been like it since. This is what made that movie fantastic. Because again, it's not just about horse racing, right? It's the battle. It's the struggle. It's overcoming the struggle and the adversity and the animosity and the negativity to eventually become the winner. And not just the winner, but the one who saves the people around them. That's what Brunson has done. That's what you did. That's Remember the Titans. That's Secretariat. We're talking about taking the tales of people in sports who do more than just give you the statistics of the game or their own individual stats that made them great players, but what makes them iconic. And it shows you why America needs heroes. Jalen Brunson is a hero. That's a hero right there. Half a century of losses, for goodness sakes. And he was the Washington this team needed to victory. That's what they needed. That's what they got. He was willing to sacrifice in order to get it, and that is the tale. With a great villain like a Frenchman who has no respect for the national anthem in the United States, no sportsmanship, you're a sore loser. If you can't lose like a champ, then you shouldn't be playing the damn game. And respect, because I'm a sore loser. This is why I don't play games. It's that simple. He can't do that, so there you go. But he's a dirty player. So it's not even just that you showed bad sportsmanship. It's also you're a dirty player, and you disrespected my national anthem. But you know what? That's okay, because Game 4 is similar to the battle that gave it to us. And you can't even comprehend why.
That's impossible.
Look what he said at the last press conference, right? Look what he said. See you never. Or there's a lesson that needs to be learned. I don't know quite what it is yet. You don't know what the lesson needs to be learned here. Maybe don't be a dirty player. Maybe respect the national anthem. Maybe respect the people you're playing with. You know, maybe don't be so arrogant. Arrogance gets you killed. Hello. To quote Blinky from Troll Hunters, arrogance gets you killed. Maybe don't be arrogant. Maybe learn that lesson. And you might do better moving forward, which he could. He still could. He should not be the face of the NBA. In my opinion, the greatest reward that we should be giving Jalen Brunson, he should be the face of the NBA for the next 5 years. Maybe not a decade because he's a veteran player, but for 5 years, he should be that face. This man needs a Nike deal. He needs the shoe, the fitted, the jacket. I want Jalen Brunson everything. That's what I want at this point, because he was able to do what no other captain on the Knicks is able to do for the last 53 years. That's a big deal. We're talking before I was even born, you guys. Again, they united generations, races, religions, genders, because we were all getting behind a team who has suffered tremendously, struggled tremendously, and then finally gets a captain, gets a leader, gets their Washington, and beats the British behind. That's what I characterize this game as. And if Hollywood were smart, they would make that comparison in the movie about the Knicks with Jalen Brunson as their captain. Okay? The movies that make us, when you look at sports movies, are always more than just about the sport, more than just the statistics, but about the heart and the nobility and the sacrifice of the people who are playing the game. And that's what I saw, and that's what you witnessed when you watched that championship. Okay, that's what that was. So get in the comment sections and let me know what you guys think about that. And let me know what you guys think about the whole thing with Jalen Brunson being the face of the NBA, because really, low-key, that means something. I feel like it should be his, okay? That man needs a Nike deal. That man should be the face of the NBA for at least 5 years, just because he was able to do what no one has ever been able to do for the last century, okay? Half a century. That's what that means. And I think that man should get that reward in that regard. And that would also give some of the young players on the Spurs the time to get more seasoned. In 5 years, they'll be less arrogant and more seasoned. They'll know who they are as players, both as players and in character. And, not Wemby, because he's French, but maybe one of the other players on the Spurs team, because, again, they are quite talented. Let me know in the comment section, okay?